In 776 BCE, something extraordinary began in ancient Greece. The very first Olympic Games. What started as a modest festival honouring Zeus soon evolved into a grand display of athleticism, skill, and competition. These early games not only shaped Greek culture, but also laid the foundation for the global phenomenon we recognise today as the Olympics. Held every 4 years in Olympia, the ancient Olympics were more than just a series of athletic contests. They symbolised a brief respite from ongoing rivalries between Greek city-states, a moment of unity, peace, and shared culture. At that time, these city-states didn't view themselves as part of a larger Greek identity. That sense of unity only began to emerge after the Greco-Persian Wars, centuries later. But why Olympia? This sacred site held immense religious significance long before the first Olympic Games were ever conceived. Olympia was the home of the grand sanctuary dedicated to Zeus, where a massive statue of the god stood as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Olympia's neutrality and frequent conflicts between city-states made it the perfect location for an event that transcended politics. The lighting of the sacred flame, using sunlight to ignite it, was one of the key rituals symbolizing purity and the divine present throughout the games. The religious aspect of the games cannot be overstated. The opening ceremonies featured the sacrifice of 100 oxen to Zeus in a grand display of devotion. Both athletes and judges took oaths before the gods, promising to compete with integrity, honour, and fairness. Breaking these sacred oaths wasn't just a slight against the games, it was an offence to the gods themselves. The first Olympic event was a simple foot race called the Stadion, about 600 feet in length. The winner? A baker from Eleusis named Coroebus, who became the first recorded Olympic champion, cementing his place in history. Over time, the Olympic program grew. By 724 BCE, the second race, the Dialos, was introduced, and by 720 BCE, the longer Dolichos followed. Wrestling, one of the most revered sports in ancient Greece, soon joined the lineup. This sport, requiring both strength and skill, became a cornerstone of the games. Boxing followed not long after, with participants wrapping their hands in leather straps for protection. These events quickly became crowd favourites, showcasing not only raw physical power, but also the discipline required to succeed. As the games expanded, so did their scope. By the 7th century BCE, horse and chariot races were introduced, adding even more excitement and spectacle. These races weren't just a test of athletes, but also of the horses and the chariots they guided, often representing wealthy patrons or entire city-states. Thousands of spectators gathered from across the Greek world to witness these games. Though not everyone could participate, only free-born Greek men were allowed to compete. However, young women had their own competition, the Heraean Games, held in honour of the goddess Hera, where they competed in foot races. Athletes travelled from as far as Asia Minor and the Black Sea colonies to compete, underscoring the game's significance as a unifying force. The Olympics fostered a shared sense of identity, bringing together a scattered people under the common banner of sport and religion. One of the most fascinating aspects of the ancient Olympics was the Olympic truce, known as Ekacheria. During the Games, all warfare between rival city-states ceased, allowing athletes and spectators to travel safely to Olympia. This truce highlighted the power of the Games to transcend politics and foster peace, even in a world as divided as ancient Greece. Victors were crowned not with gold medals, but with olive wreaths, taken from the sacred tree of Zeus. Upon their return home, champions were celebrated with banquets, public accolades, and often lifelong honours. In some cases, statues were even erected in their name, ensuring their legacy endured. Yet the Games were not without their controversy. Instances of bribery, sabotage, and cheating occurred. Athletes caught violating the rules faced steep fines, and their names were inscribed on statues called zanes, a permanent testament to their dishonour, warning others of the consequences of corruption. For nearly 12 centuries, from 776 BCE to 393 CE, the Olympic Games were held every 4 years, 293 Olympiads in total. However, as the Roman Empire rose to power, the nation of games shifted. Roman emperors like Nero left their mark, but it was the spread of Christianity that finally brought the games to an end. In 393 CE, Emperor Theodosius I banned the Olympics, viewing them as remnants of Greece's pagan past. Yet the Olympic spirit was not extinguished. In 1896, after centuries of dormancy, the modern Olympic Games were revived in Athens, thanks to the vision of Frenchman Pierre de Coubertin. Today the Olympics continue to celebrate the same ideals of excellence and unity that inspired the ancient Greeks. From a humble foot race to the global spectacle we see today, The Olympic Games stand as a lasting symbol of the power of sport to bring people together in peace and competition.